YouTube, chicks. Get ready. You know what to do, chicks.
Look at Chick Smooth.
Hey, Chick Smooth. Appreciate all the coverage that you've been doing. I've been watching your shit for a while. I just subscribed to your shit too, bro.
Who needs to learn how to fold laundry when you got Elliot Wilson that folds in record time? Elliot Wilson is back to his old tricks once again. Hey, you know what, Elliot? Unfortunately for you, buddy, this little scam is over. The play has officially been played out. The defense is now able to read your plays and sniff them out. At this point, moving forward, Elliot, you gotta only speak good about everybody that you discuss. You guys remember when J. Cole claimed he wanted smoke and was ready to defend his top 3 position in rap? And then when real smoke came, he skedaddled up out of there?
Here I was in a cloudy, dark place, right? Meaning I was doing shit, I had talent, I had belief in myself, I had motion, but at the same time I also had fear. I had fear that maybe I wouldn't get to where I wanted to go. And so that fear had me moving in an unusual way, right? It had me moving in a way that I damn near was thinking about and listening to people's expectations of me and then responding off of that, right?
Did not even try to put up a fight. This is exactly what this Elliot Wilson interview with Camron looks like. After going off on Camron and telling him that his show is ass, calling him out for not being media, not being a journalist, today, Elliot Wilson found himself on Camron's show. Now, I thought it was very interesting because Cam could have easily gone off on Elliot Wilson, clowned him, violated him all kind of ways, and never have to talk to him in person. But instead, Camron said, you know what? I got a better idea. Let me bring you onto my show that you were trying to hit on me for, and I could show you why I'm a journalist and also why people want to come on my show instead of yours. Now, within the first 5 seconds, Elliot Wilson folded and he apologized to Camron. Elliot Wilson did not even try to defend his stance, didn't even try to fake like he meant it for a good minute. He just folded. Here's what he said.
Athletes and entertainers turning into media.
Well, I was embarrassed by my appearance on the Roy Mal thing. I think that caught me in a vulnerable moment where, being somebody that's been in hip hop media, been in media since the early 90s, like you said, seeing all the changes of so much more streamers are now taking up the marketplace. So many athletes or artists are now in media. It's a little tough now for traditional journalists. So I think my frustration came out and I targeted Cam, and that wasn't fair. I was wrong for that. And now when I really look at it, Cam should walk around like he's Stephen A. Smith because he's building a sports empire on his own terms, right? He put his own money up. Mace put money up. They've done things the right way. They've empowered others, Michael Irvin, Mark Jackson, to even RIP OJ, and especially you, Treasure, putting you on like a real journalist. So if you look at the way it has been moving out here, you set the standard of how you should move out here. But, sometimes me as a traditional journalist, I get frustrated. And I just think I was a little bit out of pocket there, and I apologize, and that really wasn't where I was really coming from. I was more so pointing out the challenges that today's journalists face in this marketplace where so much is fame and celebrity, fueled. People want to be famous before they want to be true journalists,
Okay. Cam, how do you feel about Elliot's statement? Because, the argument can be you're not running around like Stephen A. Smith, you're running around like Cam, because that's who you are. So how do you feel about that? And then how do you feel about artists, athletes, and entertainers turning into media?
Right. First, when I'm looking at Elliot now, it's I didn't know your face looked like pepper jack turkey. That's what you look. The texture of your skin looks like pepper jack turkey. It look like you sweat duck sauce. You look like a sloppy sandwich in the face. Pause, man. My bad. I didn't know. I never really looked at you like that. But as far as what Elliot said, I'm running around. I'm not trying to be anybody but myself. As far as comparing me to Stephen A. Smith, I take that as a compliment because he's kind of the standard. He's in negotiations for doing $100 million deal over a certain amount of years of time. And certain amount of years, it is $100 million per year. But he's basically the standard when it comes to getting money in this field. And not only being the standard, he's a black man from New York, like I am. So I'm never trying to be anybody else, but if you're gonna compare me to somebody who's at the top of the game in this thing that we're doing, and I only been doing this since it's going on. It's going to be 2 years in March this year coming up. So if you're comparing me to that, it isn't like he said a podcaster or somebody else. So I didn't get to it. When I heard it, to be honest with you, I really wasn't too upset about it. I was more like, where'd that come from? But I mean, over the years, I've known Elliot. We haven't really talked a lot and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And I seen like a few things from his interview stat. He's like his relationship with Jay-Z and all this. And I didn't know, to be honest with you, I didn't really know you had a great relationship with Jay-Z. I didn't know. I didn't pay attention to it that much because from what I remember is with Elliot is that he ran XXL when I was coming up. And if you get the cover, you get the cover. If you don't, you got to move on to the next thing. So I never put too much faith into one magazine because there's different outlets prior to the internet as well. Magazine covers were definitely an important. And XXL, Vanessa too, shout out to Vanessa, they supported me a lot through my career. So I have nothing bad to say about that at all. But as far as comparing me to Stephen A. Smith, to be honest with you, I wasn't offended. I was more just confused, like, where's this going? As far as athletes and entertainers becoming podcasters or analysts or anything of that nature, with me, it's more about looking at the climate. It isn't about necessarily being a journalist, because Elliot made a great point with his opening statement. People may want to be more famous than doing the due diligence or homework or something that a topic is. But me, you have to look where the climate is going. And when I heard his interview, to be honest with you, I said to myself, this sounds like the guy who used to own Blockbuster and he's mad he can't sell VHS tapes. Or a guy who owns a livery cab service and he's mad that everybody's Ubering. That's the vibe that pushed off. And instead of figuring out the climate and what to do to get money in the climate, it sounded like more of a complaining situation, to where a person like me, I would sit there and say, well, why is and I'm not mocking you, I'm being serious. Why is everybody streaming? And I don't get streaming. Why we can't sell physical tapes or physical CDs or vinyl? I just don't, how they monetizing it? What's the BDS or what's the sound scan? And instead of doing that, I figure ways out to see which way the climate is moving, whichever field I'm in, music, movies, entertainment, regardless, whatever it is, and try to be the best at what direction the climate is going in. But I wasn't offended when he said it.
Okay. So Elliot just...
Now, like I told you guys earlier, this is the playbook Elliot Wilson has been running for the last 2 years. Where he trash talks people, it goes viral because he's Elliot Wilson and people have respect for him in the space. He then makes his media rounds on people's platforms where he not only apologizes, but he also promotes the shows he has going on. And then he goes back and waits 4 months to rinse and repeat. This time was no different.
I'm going to continue to grow and pivot and adapt to these things and not look at it as a negative, right? And, I have my own debate show I got coming out, The Bigger Picture, with Jeremy Heck and DJ Head, that I do every Saturday. I'm starting my own new one-on-one interview series called Elliot Wilson Experience. Show my interviews. I feel like I do some of the best hip-hop interviews out there. I did a great interview with Camron, in 2019 with B-Dot for Rap Radar Podcast. This show is called Elliot Wilson Experience. I'm interviewing artists like Snoop Dogg, Wale, Absol, Leon Thomas. So I just have to reinvent myself. I can't complain that, all these people are out here with outlets and they're making noise. I got to continue to push it. This is what I want to do, document hip hop culture and grow. I got to adapt to these things. So I thought it was a really teachable moment. And I appreciate, I didn't do any of this to stir some sort of viral moment or get on your program. It was just a natural moment of frustration I expressed. But to Cam's point, you can't just complain about that. You don't want to be the old person at the park talking about you don't get no play anymore. You have to adapt to these times, and I'm determined to do that.
Adapt, teachable moment. This sounds all too familiar. Kind of like what Flip told you when you went on the Joe Budden podcast about a year ago, back when you were dissing Kai Cenat when Nicki Minaj came on his platform.
Yeah, I apologize to Kai Cenat.
Got it.
Okay.
Times has passed, Elliot. Times has passed. Things are changing, and sometimes you have to adjust to the changes.
Like I said, I'm trying to. I think I'm getting it right sometimes.
When you were coming up, man, they had to adjust to your changes and the values that you brought.
Yep.
the way you did things, and I think it needs to be the same. I think you have to extend that grace as well. You know what I mean? And I get what you're saying. I'm with you.
But I was a monster in XXL.
I know.
So you mean to tell me a whole year later, you still didn't learn to adapt? Nothing? It's really not that hard to stop hating on people and start giving them props. If you see somebody get an interview that you wanted, find out exactly what and why they got that interview. Constantly trying to hate and compare yourself to other people in your space that's doing better than you is really not the way to go. Especially when you keep on apologizing after you get called out for the same things. Even Charlemagne last week told Elliot Wilson, bro, you can't keep on doing this.
And then you're not sitting around just, hating on, people for what they're building.
Yeah.
Like Elliot Wilson does all the time. He can't help himself. He's just
Why? What's up with Elliot?
he hated on Camron and Mace for what they building with It Is What It Is talk. It was just disgusting.
That's his character now, right? Like, isn't that like his
Yeah,
shtick?
but it don't work. It don't work if you come off as bitter.
Right.
And that's what I was trying to explain to people last year. Like, you just randomly hating on Kai Cenat. And then you apologize. And you randomly hating on Camron and Mace. And you apologize. And I know Elliot is so happy that Camron and Mace weren't on this week. Because they've been on his head on social media.
Oh, yeah.
But they was like, when we come back, we cooking you. And, he went to the Need to Know podcast. Salute to the Need to Know podcast. Love what they doing over there. Went to the Need to Know podcast explaining himself. What'd you say earlier? If you explaining, you're losing?
You explain, you're losing.
Exactly. And that's explain himself. You don't got to explain being a hater. Stand on your shit. And I've told him this before.
Yeah.
Stop popping shit and then apologizing. If you're going to play this, I've told him.
You want to be the heel of hip hop journalism?
Be it.
You got to be it 100% through and through.
Academics ain't out here apologizing.
But like, if it seems to me that you're saying that he's playing a character.
He's playing a character that he's not even built to play. And I've told him this before. Elliot, I've told you this before. Have I not told you this before? You're playing a character you're not even built to play.
And if you do play, I guess, this character doesn't apologize. If you are the heel journalist, think about what a heel would do in wrestling. Think about what a heel would do in boxing.
Yes.
Like, you say fucked up shit at the press conference, then you go, oh, I'm sorry. No. You got to stay with it through and through. I guess that's what you're saying.
And also stop running to other people's podcasts to express these opinions. You have the bigger picture, and I'm gonna give you this advice because I don't talk to you. I don't fuck with the guy, right? I really don't. But you got the bigger picture. You should be having these conversations on the bigger picture. And more importantly, I just don't understand why you would just discard a great property like Rap Radar.
And I still rock with Elliot Wilson, but this just wasn't a good look. You guys get in the comments below. What do you guys think about Elliot Wilson apologizing to Camron? And do you guys think Elliot Wilson should continue with this play? Post your comments below. Subscribe to my channel, like this video. I'll see you guys later, man.